Well, there's a saying out there, so you're enlightened, now what? Right? Because
Exactly.
there's no end to enlightenment. We've been here long enough just as humans, let alone if we incarnated in any other species,
Mm-hmm.
to get to know us, to get to know our shadow part and accept our shadow part. Because we can't grow and evolve without bringing that with us. And you might need to heal it, right? So that you don't carry it with you. But there's always more. There is just always more. You can go down the rabbit hole in so many different directions. But at some point, and I tell this with people, oh, well, they keep going back to they want to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, at some point, it's not going to help you in this lifetime to go
Right.
as you want to, right? You need to say, so who am I now?
Emotionally unavailable.
Welcome to Emotionally Unavailable, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of emotional availability and intimacy. I'm your host, Malisa Hepner, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have you join me on this journey of self-discovery and connection. Whether you're navigating the complexities of relationships or exploring your own emotional landscape, this podcast is here to inspire, empower, and entertain. So get cozy and let's explore the depths of human emotions together. Hey everybody, happy Wednesday. I hope you're doing well. I am doing well. Today's guest is Darlene Van De Grift. She is a medical intuitive, cosmic mediator, medium, and author. She has over 35 years in assisting people searching for answers, needing clarity, and finding their purpose for what was, what is, and what can be in areas of health, relationship, spirituality, career, past lives, cosmic connection, and mediumship. We had such a good conversation. Really felt connected to her. I really like her. She said in her about section, it says, there are times in everyone's life that stress, worry, and wanting answers, but not knowing where or how to find them can become overwhelming. Weaving new insights or understanding about health, relationships, career, or spirituality can shift one's consciousness, expand thought processes, change behaviors, motivate new choices, and can impact your DNA. You are not stuck, wrong, or incapable. You may only be a little lost. Find out the truth of who you are and take the steps towards clarity, order, and direction to become more than you know. I know I really resonated with that. So you guys are going to love this conversation. Let's see. I will be including links for her Insta, her YouTube, her website, and says her website, Soul Union, is dedicated to assisting people who are trying to find themselves, make better choices, expand their future possibilities, and help them with the struggle of living in this time of intensity and transition. And God knows, we all know what that means. So, you guys are going to love Darlene. I just know it. I don't think I'm forgetting anything. I sure hope not. I love you. Thank you for being here. Always grateful for every single one of you who listens to any amount of this show. I just hope that it brings you the light that we are trying to shine. So, yeah, okay. I love you. Have a great day. Here's me and Darlene.
Emotionally unavailable.
Okay, so you are a medium and a medical intuitive, a cosmic mediator, which I've never heard of, and an author. I don't even know where to start because I'm so fascinated by the things that you do. But I do always wonder when people use these gifts, like what you had to overcome to really touch base with it, to really, feel it, acknowledge it, actually integrate it. Because I know for me, I had like years of religious programming that said astrology, no, no, girl, none of that. And mediums were, you don't even, now I was allowed to watch Oprah when James Van Frog was on. You know who I'm talking about? I became obsessed with mediumship because of that. I was always the believer. I was like, no, it is true. And I mean, I don't know. I'm sure I've seen some frauds, but like I've always been obsessed with it. And I don't think that's for no reason, by the way. Not everybody has obsessions with the things that I've had obsessions with. But anyway, so I had to overcome all that. I always felt very intuitive, but I was like, oh no. And I had weird experiences as a kid. But I'm so curious, people who, because I've never really been able to tap into mediumship. So once I did, but it wasn't anything like anyone else has ever described it, and it makes me nervous because I don't want to be wrong, because like I've had so much loss that like mediumship really means a lot to me. When I go see a medium, I don't want to mess it up, so I don't trust myself, if I'm being really honest. So anyway, I'm kind of tired today and I'm just rambling, so I'm so sorry, but I just really want to know, like, what were your prior beliefs and how did this all happen?
So thanks for having me on, by the way. Um, yeah, I was raised very religious on my mother's, not her side of her family. They were Rosicrucianists. They were, they had that, but she was raised well, she came into being very religious. And my father was very atheist and would say occasionally, like, devil sits on my shoulder to drive her crazy. Um, but it was a huge programming, because when I left that religion, it was when I was 19 or close to 20, and it was deprogramming for me for 15 years maybe, of dealing with every little thing that was happening. I had to remind myself that it's not that. I had to come into center again. You had to do all of that this is, without judging them, and working with them, actually, because my mother and I had she went through a 3-year, very serious, critical. They gave her 6 months to live, and it took her 3 years to do a detox. She did 3 years of a detox with a chiropractor, and she came out of that as a healer. But we worked on a lot of the people that were in that religion. So it was like living in two worlds. What's happening over here with my own spiritual evolution, and what can I help them with that's limited in their belief system? And taught me a lot. But it was my unfoldment, or my evolution, was very categorically slow, right? It like things would come in, or I'd be introduced to a teacher that taught me like applied kinesiology. I loved that because it was about tapping into the subconscious. And then that led me into other things, and it led me into, I started off with hands-on work, as a massage therapist, and that opened up things. And then kinesiology opened it up even further. Um, and then eventually, I think I was, what was I, 30 some? And I thought I was going to die actually at 34, but I didn't. It was more of an awakening for me. And I started channeling, and I did that for about 5 years. But to overcome, I think it's just a reminder of how to stay centered when something new is offered to you. And I was always fascinated with the human body. What makes humans tick is my thing. It's like, not only how does the body function, but what goes on in their brain, and what do they collect? And then when past lives started to come in for me, it was like, well, that made sense, right? You just don't show up here and then it's done.
Right.
You have all of this that comes in, but I had to overcome, like, well, that's not what I was taught. And what's real, but I had to accept what's real for me. What's the information that I'm getting? And if it's not hurting anyone, it's allowing them to sometimes express themselves, but also to move into something maybe that's possible, right? So yeah, it still continues. I mean, I
I
get
know
woken
it.
up a
That's
lot.
the strangest part, like how you can get even deeper understandings and new stuff still. Like I'm now granted, I'm only like a I'm about a year and a half into hardcore spiritual, probably 4 years into like tarot, things like that.
Mhm.
And like I said, I've been intuitive my whole life, but the spiritual stuff for me really is my learning about me, like me evolving over and over and over. And then I just share that with others, like because that's the way that like everything I do, obviously I'm the filter. So I see things through me. So like I have felt a real confirmation to the call. But it's interesting because I've been asking people this because I wonder, I thought for a while I was the only one, but I really kind of thought that healing and spirituality and all the things that there really was kind of a destination point. Like I was gonna get there and what, reach nirvana? I don't know. I don't know what I thought, but like it's not this, and I'm so happy it's this because learning new stuff all the time is exciting, and just getting that deeper understanding to where like, oh good, another way to not take something personally, to not let something devalue you, because that's been my life. That's the center of all of my learning, is truly holding my worth, like really understanding, not just saying it, not just willing it, even understanding that I truly am worthy, because I felt so unworthy and unvaluable and unloved for 44 years and had no idea even to the extent how bad it
Mhm.
was until I started unraveling. And even now it'll pop up some, but it's more like back here, just parts of me that I'm trying to get caught up. I've been doing work, you know, deeper
To do
to
that.
get them to catch up, but man, it's amazing to continue to evolve.
Well, there's a saying out there, so you're enlightened, now what? Right? Because
Exactly.
there's
Exactly.
no end to enlightenment. We've been here long enough, as just as humans, let alone if we incarnated in any other, species,
Mhm.
to get to know us, to get to know our shadow part and accept our shadow part, because we can't grow and evolve without bringing that with us. And you might need to heal it, right? So that you don't carry it with you. But it's there's always more. There is just always more. You can go down the rabbit hole in so many different directions, but at some point, and I tell this with people, oh, well, they keep going back to they want to go deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And I'm like, at some point, it's not going to help you in this lifetime to go
Right.
as you want to, right? You need to say, okay, so who am I now? Not keep diving in. Who am I now? And how can I be in service? Because that is one of our biggest missions is we clear ourselves, we heal ourselves, we integrate ourselves with if it's past lives or whatever. And then how can we be in service? How can we help others? Not by being a guru and not by being, that kind of leader that needs people around them. It's just, it could be an everyday thing. Do you say hello to people at the shopping center? Do you make eye contact? Are you kind? Doesn't have to be anything really big, but you're evolving into being more human.
Yes, that's so true. And I do think that sometimes even us little spiritual folk can get it a little twisted in terms of what service needs to look like. But I've really, above even the word kindness, I will say I'm really practicing softness like over the last year, because I lived in masculine energy all those years, fueled by spite, making some right decisions but never for the right reasons. Like my early adulthood, I made mostly really good decisions and started my life, but never for the right reasons. I mean, I was trying to prove myself to me and to everyone around me nonstop. And I was the golden child of my family system, so, it is what it is. But I I'm I'm going to talk about this because I'm feeling led to, but something that I have struggled with is children, not really my own. They do get on my nerves, but not like other people's kids. And like I was at the pool the other day with my daughter and her friend, and I'm working on just like doing more kid stuff also getting in more water, also being in the sun more. So like I was like, let's do it. And these aren't things I would have like done really before. I would have taken her to the pool, but I would have sat in the shade, and I did that some, but like I'm really being intentional about some things. So I go, I swear to you, and I thought I was at a good spot because two moms were sitting up on the side of the pool right by me. Their
Yeah.
fucking children kept coming right in between me and them and just jumping right in between us over and over in the water. I'm drenched. Like, I have highlights, okay? I didn't want that chlorine pool up in my hair. So I was annoyed, but I was actually very grateful for the opportunity to practice the softness because I know I don't actually dislike kids. What I dislike is their ability to take up space because I wasn't allowed to. I didn't have
Right.
permission to exist. And so like I was even telling my son afterwards like, "Ugh, it's this is so hard for me." And I refuse to blame the children the way I used to. You know, like these bratty ass kids, you know, whatever. Because let me tell you something, Darlene, I ruined the fun in everything with my children because I was like, no, go down the slide, not up. I mean, I was the mom yelling the entire time at the playground because, like, no, you have to go down, not up. Follow the rules,
Right.
go down, go around, come back. Because A, I didn't want to look like a bad mom, and B, you're supposed to follow every rule that's on this earth. So I didn't allow children to take up space ever because I didn't know what that was supposed to look like. And
Right.
now I really, really, really want to allow children to exist, but I don't have the container for it quite yet. So I'm really, really working on not just behaving soft in those moments, but
Yeah.
feeling soft and releasing the old shit, you know? Like when those kids were doing that, it was annoying the hell out of me. But I was like, you know what, Melissa, that's fine. A, you weren't expecting to be splashed in the face, though I probably should have. But like I thought I picked a good spot, so A, that's okay. Like that's fine. But also this really is like their time. Like they get to play in
Yeah.
the pool. Like you can't make this about you. If you don't like it, you can get out. And I chose to stay because it was very hot outside. And I was like, I'm going to stay. I want it to be cool enough to where when I get out, the rest of the time I sit here, which was the plan the whole time, that I'm not going to be really hot. But it's hard. This is very hard for me to allow other children to take up space. Like my very first thought is always, why aren't they teaching their kid da 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 da? And I'm so glad they're not teaching them the rude shit I'm thinking in my head. But that's the stuff I worked really hard on with my boys, because my boys are way older than my daughter. But for no good reason. Just teaching
Right.
them that the comfort of others was prioritized over their enjoyment, their pleasure, their comfort. And
Yeah.
so
That's
that's
program.
really where I'm at right now, is just practicing softness in general, but especially with kids.
Yeah. Well, because that's the dark part of whatever's been influencing your life, right? So if you can work it through now, you don't necessarily need to go back to that child again, you
Right.
being that child. You're already established, oh, I am not going to do this. And so I'm going to work through it. I'm going to find peace with it. I'm going to find neutrality with it. I'm not going to do that. My experience was growing up so confined that I let my kids do pretty much anything our agreement was. And I found out why that agreement was. Never knew it till probably 5, 6 years ago when I started writing my books. But my agreement in my head was you can do pretty much anything, but you can't die. And I never knew where that came from. But when I started writing the books, I realized that I had all three of these children in a past life, and they all died at the same time with a cataclysm. And it made sense to me. It was like, oh, well, that's where that belief came from, like that agreement. Like, I'll give you freedom, I want to keep the relationship, I'll give you freedom. And what it did for each one of them is they developed their own boundaries. My daughter would come home at 13 or 14 and say, Mom, can you put me on restriction for 3 weeks?
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
really? She said, yeah. I said, okay, then you're not allowed out of the house, forget your friends or whatever. She was fine with that.
I love this. Oh
You
my
know,
God.
yeah, yeah. So it was very different. Like they say, it was so different compared to what friends were raised with. I'd like them to experience things and then feel what that's like for them. And they're all pretty much, I mean, they're all of them, all three of them, two boys and a girl. They are very self-sufficient and they know how to manage their lives. So, but that came from the same kind of what you did, like being raised in a confined way. I just did it the exact opposite. And I think that's all about either where we've come from or how much we've done the work, which doesn't put anybody else at a disadvantage of, oh, you didn't do your work. It's just that where are we in our own evolution, you know?
Right.
Right.
Well, that paradigm's really shifting for me. So I'd love some feedback from you on this. So, I was real authoritarian when especially my oldest. The middle one broke me a little bit because he was always going to march to the beat of his own drum. He is very karmically tied to me. But I was pretty hard on that first one. Then the second one, I just could see he needed different. And so I did different, but I was still being kind of hard on the first one because I thought I was just managing expectations. It was a whole thing. But as I'm evolving in this experience, the way I view children are very different. I was one of those toxic people. I had a lot of narcissistic traits from being raised by a narcissist. And so I did absolutely view them as an extension and a reflection of me. That's what I was taught. That's what I perpetuated. Now, obviously, I don't view them that way. But my oldest has accused me of being a permissive parent with my youngest now because I'm just kind of viewing myself more as a shaman. We're here for the ride together. I'm here to support you. Because, I just don't view children the same way. And we're all souls. We have a purpose. I want to help her advance in hers. I know that we're meant to do this together. And I just want to be here for all three of them. Let them do whatever it is they feel led to do. Trust your intuition, even whenever, that middle one, he doesn't think before he acts, so he gets himself in some trouble. But even then I'm like, okay, you did a human thing. How are you going to deal with it? I don't see punishment the way that I used to, or consequences, I'll say. I
Yeah.
let them feel the natural consequences of any action that they, do. But otherwise, I just don't see the need to punish all the time. But this is an area I'm learning to trust myself in, not necessarily there. So you're nodding a lot. Are you agree? Am I on the right path here?
You're on the right path because you're shifting as you're assisting your kids. And you got to remember, they came to you knowing, you know, we choose
Yeah.
our parent for our lessons, for our missions, for whatever that is. It's not judged good, bad, or ugly. It's just what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're, even at your age, you said what, you're like 40 something?
I'm 45 now. Yep.
Yeah, that's like a really good age as opposed to being 60, 70, or 80, and finding out that, oh wow, now there's this,
Yeah.
because you really can't deal with it as well as you can with your age. So between
Can't
30 and
change it.
50, yeah,
Yeah.
between 30 and 50 are these magical years of where people are coming more into understanding the dynamics of who they are. And
Yeah.
then when you change, I had a new mom call the other week, and she was like, I think I screwed up my daughter, who's only 2 months.
Oh,
And I was
baby.
like, I know, no, 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 you can't. They're very resilient. They come in knowing what they're coming into. And, as long as you're working on it, you speak. And I would tell people, talk to your kids, even if they're infants. Mom's having a bad day today, but it's not you. Even if that
Yeah.
kid's cooing and he's 3 months old, I'm having a bad day, because it creates that understanding on some level, right? That there's a separation, that,
Yeah.
mom's having a bad day, but this is not about
It's
you.
not
And
about
you keep
you.
that, up, because they'll get it, and they'll be more empathic and not so tied in to, if something happens to you, then they feel it, right? Some kids,
Yes.
they feel it, and you start to see the kid acting out, and you're having a
Mhm.
bad day, but you're not talking about it because your energy fields are very enmeshed.
Yeah, versus a kid who learns to not take things personally is just like, "Ooh, mama's in a bad mood. I'm gonna take some space." Like, "Ooh, I don't, can I get you something to drink before I go to my room, mom?" I mean, that's just a different philosophy than I need to tiptoe around the house or I need to
Right.
try to fix this.
Yeah, it's the fixing. I mean, a lot of kids become the saviors, they become the protectors,
That was me,
depending on what's
yeah.
happening. Really. And they need to be released from that because it'll influence the rest of their life. So when you're really honest as best you can, if you're going through something that's absolutely horrific and you can't even talk about it, but you can say, look, this isn't a great day for me. Remember last week when you were crying? Well, that's where I am right now. And it has nothing to do with you.
Mhm. I'm doing a lot of that in general with the way I communicate with people because I really am afflicted during PMS time. Like I have PMDD and it's so much better. I'm not like super depressed anymore during that time. And I'm not as agitated because I've learned to control my brain during that time. But especially that like last few days, I'm just on edge. So I'm like working to just get back to baseline a lot of the day. Like it takes a lot of effort. And so I'm just getting really good at being like, before you even come in here and tell me what you're about to tell me, I need you to know this is where I am, and any
Yeah.
reaction is going to come from that place, and it does not have anything to do with you, nor am I really in a place to receive anything from you. But if you need to tell me, let's talk. But I'm not really in a good place right now. Like I just feel really agitated. And my daughter, who's always been very sensitive to my moods, and God knows I messed up so much when she was little, and I'm working very hard to repair with her. But she's so sensitive to me. And so it's always like, "Are you mad?" Because I get frustrated and I'll be like, just breathe it out. She's like, "Are you mad?" And I'll be like, "I'm a little grumpy right now because I haven't eaten." Like things like that. And she's starting to get better about, "Oh, okay, no big deal, no big deal." But before it was a big deal. But now, like, I love that she's asking, even though she's asking all the time now. But she used to not say things like that. She just like would have her own reactivity to my
Yeah.
reactivity, and we were a fucking bomb in this house. Like it was not good. We're way a lot alike. And so, like I always say, she's who I would have been if I had been allowed to like have a
Breathe.
personality
How
and
old
I
is
absolutely allow her. She's
how
11.
old
She
is
just turned 11.
Right. Yeah. So two things come up about that. Because as a medical intuitive, one of the things that may help you with that PMS is starting probably whenever you start it. I would try to hit it the day before and take calcium. It calms the nerves. It's what the body needs in order to get the flow. So, I would do that. A normal dose is 1,200 milligrams, but I would start just on 1,000 and see how your body adjusts to it. And the other thing with your daughter, when you have enmeshment, with your kids, if they're visual or even if they're creative, because it works in either way. And I just talked to my daughter this morning because her daughter is very, like she'll cry for 3 days. And she said, my body just wants to cry. And she's 8, right? My body just wants to cry, but there's no reason. But it's because she's picking up stuff from her friends,
Yeah.
right? Is to create a visual. Like we have our energy field, right? So explaining to her in some way, and there's plenty of things online, what the energy field looks like. And if you could put a boundary around it so that you don't pick up things from other people, what would that look like? Would it
Yeah.
be a grid? Be a light body? Would it be something that's mirror and reflective? Like, let them just create that. You're not telling them how to, but they can start to utilize that to create more distance, especially if you're empathic. When the kids are very sensitive,
She
yeah, they
is.
know early on. And it's not just about separate from mom, which would be great, right, as she gets older, but it's that place of letting them feel that they have control over whatever's coming to them because they have this thing around them. They have this protection or boundary.
Yeah, and we've had small conversations about that when I learned about her human design because she's a manifester.
Uh-huh.
But because she's always had like a witching hour at in the evening where she just is way over energized and doesn't know what to do with the energy. Like 2 nights ago when it started, she came to me and asked for a dance party. I obliged, and it was fine. Last night, she opted to raise some hell. Okay. Like, you just never know which night's going to be what. But she, when we started like getting really intentional about expelling energy from the day, she
Yeah.
really calmed down.
Great. Yeah, because she's probably picking it up, but she wouldn't even know it's in the energy field, right? So it just kind of, if there's something that happened with a teacher or a friend or any of that dream state, even, like if she's
Mm-hmm.
having any, it just collective. So I also have people do the goodbye process, very simple, like even adults, mostly adults, but I think it works with kids as well. When you go to bed or when you're getting a shower before you go to any of these times, it's I say goodbye to, and it does not have to be sequential. So if you've had clients or you've had things that have happened, I say goodbye to George that this happened. I say goodbye to Martha where she said her father died. I say goodbye to, it's the physicalness, even though you might have said goodbye to them on the phone or in person or anything. I say goodbye to, I saw an animal on the road and it disturbed me. Like whatever feels like it's stuck in you for that day, just do the I say goodbye to. And it does energetically, it moves it in the moment. Like you can feel it.
Yeah. That would be a really fun thing to do together at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just like naming some things that we needed to say goodbye to that we carried throughout the day. That's a
Yeah.
really good idea. Thank you. And I like in terms of us choosing our caregivers and things like that, it really does give me so much peace sometimes because my darkest moment came when I was just covered in shame from parenting. Like just feeling like I was supposed to be a lot more perfect at it. I mean, truly, like, yes, I've made plenty of mistakes that I'm not happy with, but like the level of shame I was dealing with was not congruent with the mistakes I've made. Like I am a human. What do you think about, because what I keep hearing when I talk about being so accepting of myself and the fact that I make mistakes, like really embracing the shadow part of me, if I've received feedback from some about like, well, where's the accountability in that? Or even if one of my children, the whole permissive parenting debate, if I'm just like accepting of what happened because I'm not leaning into my own fear or shame, and I'm just understanding this is your experience and I'm clearly in your life to guide you, I'm just like, okay, what can you learn? How do you need help? Like what? And I ask myself those things too. What can I learn from this? How am I going to like do that differently next time? Getting very curious about why that happened in the first place instead of shaming myself. Like I don't view that as a lack of accountability. I also don't think that the amount of shame I received from myself or anyone around me changed anything other than the way I loved myself and other people.
Yeah. Shame is cancerous. It eats away at us because we don't really even talk about it. And it's one of the biggest things, emotional level, that is usually put on us. But if you can, shame and guilt, right? And if you look at guilt, the definition for guilt is when you're doing for something for yourself instead of for someone else that they want, right? And a lot of times we have to do that. Like our part of our growing up is putting yourself first, not as a narcissist and not as an egocentric person, but no, I don't want to do that. Or yes, I do want to do that. It's not giving yourself up. I wish we taught children that in school, of that emotional intelligence of where are you with that? Where is your healthy ego? And how to make that flourish by having all the positive compassion and empathy and forgiveness and all of that in it, but you still hold yourself in a resonance of a high resonance of equality, and I come first, you know?
Yes. Absolutely. That's been also received with some criticism, a little. I mean, but I'm pretty isolated, so like not that much. But I it's been a real work for me to learn how to really put myself first in terms of parenting, because it's very hard for me. I don't want to see my children disappointed because I don't like the way I feel when they're disappointed. And once I recognized that, it became a lot easier to stick with things, um to really check in with myself and be like, you really don't have the capacity for that right now. So,
Yeah.
because of all the times, so much shame happened because of all the times I tried to do something that they wanted that I didn't have the capacity to do. And then I ruined all the fun for everyone. Like I knew better and yet I tried it. And now I'm much more comfortable sitting there and being like, no, I understand. You are disappointed that we can't do that, but I'm not going to do it. So, like, and
And
I'll
but
even
you're
say, we're not going to have a
you
good
know,
time if we go.
yeah. And then it puts it in their lap. Okay, if that's not option one or choice one, what's choice two? That everybody can have a good time. It's all about how to navigate our past into our present so that our future changes. And we're all doing it, hopefully. Some, and we can't judge anybody either because we don't know what they brought in. We don't know what they're carrying. We don't know their ancestry. We don't know any of that that is part of each and every one of our journey.
Yeah. Okay, I have a question for you. Like, okay, so my parents both died. Neither of them made it to 40.
Wow.
They were present in my life as a child, but I was primarily raised by my maternal grandmother. And I've had a couple of mediums on, and I really received so much peace from, because I had been holding on to some real anger with my grandma for some years now because she was such a narcissist. But I've gone to mediums, like paid to see mediums before, to speak to my parents because it's been so long. My grandma's only been gone since 2015, but they've been gone since 2000, I mean 1996 and 2002. So they've been gone for a long time. And I was like, I just want to know if they're proud of me. So I went and I saw that medium 3 times, and he said something that was then later confirmed um, by the last medium that I spoke with, but I didn't quite understand because I didn't have the belief system that I have now. I had not had a spiritual awakening at that time. But basically, it was like, well, your mom um she just kind of didn't pass the test. So like the things that she was supposed to help you with on this side, she's now helping you with on that side. And something in that, the last time I talked about this, really made me shift again towards my grandma and be like, and the same for her, because I
Yeah.
know that those two have a soul tie. I know that I do with both of them. So it was just kind of like, well, that makes sense to me. And this life is fucking hard. So how can, and they had even worse than I had. And all of a sudden I could feel compassion again for my grandma, because that was the thing. I was so blocked. I could not feel anything nice or even remember good memories. Like I just was very focused on the pain that,
Yeah.
and that was fair for me because for all of childhood up until like 27 when I went through a divorce, um I was enamored, and I did we were very enmeshed, and I did anything she wanted and self-sacrificed, and she was such a narcissist. And so like I was righteous in my anger, but I was also ready to let it go, but I just couldn't. So I wasn't resisting. I was just kind of like, when it's ready to go, it will go. And then that one day it just went. But I guess my question is I would have a soul contract with her too, right? Like we were all, her, my dad, my mom.
You would have a It doesn't have to be a soul contract. It could be just what are you going to learn from the dynamics of the family. Like as you're talking, the what shows up for me is there's a generational issue that goes back either 3 to 4 generations on your grandmom's side, right? So is that your mom's mom?
Mhm.
Yeah. So mom would be one, grandmom would be two, her mom, and then it feels like it starts with the fourth one, but really affects the third generation. And so it's going back and if you know who they are or name, or you don't even need to do that. Are you familiar with Ho'opono? Pono?
I've heard of it. I don't
I'm
remember.
sorry. Please forgive me. I
Yes,
love
yes,
you and
yes,
thank you.
yes.
Just do a meditation and call that woman in. You don't have to know who it is, but you just from the heart space and do the I'm sorry that whatever happened to you that I don't know, but has been handed down through our epigenetics, through our DNA, through our cellular level, that I'm sorry that whatever that happened to you that's affecting all of us, I want you to know that it ends here, you know, and that
Yeah,
please forgive me for not knowing before. Please forgive me, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to end it.
yeah. Because I mean, I do feel like I have ended it, you know? Like I felt like okay, like even if I were to die today, I think I've accomplished the mission. I mean, honestly, like yes, there's more work in spreading the light, but like I feel like I did what I was supposed to do, truly. And I have felt in me healing of those women, you know? And it's very interesting for sure, but sometimes I wonder like if I was destined to have the type of childhood I had and the types of relationships I had with these people, were like, did they even have the chance to make the choices I have made? First of all, if I didn't even get the information to help me until I was in my 40s, I don't know. There was never going to be any information to help them. You know, like
No,
this was just their path to get me to where I am, I think.
yeah, well, there's so many layers to us, you know.
Yeah.
They could have come in, yes, to help you. They could have come in because they had a soul contract with each other. It's all of that. But this timeline, this time that we are living in, everything is culminating. Our histories, our karma, our timelines of things that are incomplete that would help us now, right, are all bubbling up. Like we can see there's many of the reasons why we are where we are in the world that we're in right now, because there's so many things that are coming forward to be disclosed. The dark shadows are coming forward. There is accountability with that. If you move through your accountability, if you move through your truth, if you move through all of that, then that dark past or anything that needs to be integrated or healed can be healed. But we have thousands of layers that is all coming in one time. And knowing that and not being in fear with just one step at a time, what shows up in your life, you do the best that you can. You don't repeat your history. You apologize, you hold steady to your integrity and your sovereignty. It's the best we can do.
Yeah. And just learning none of it's going to look perfect. And it's fine.
There's no such thing as perfect.
I
Right?
know.
It's just,
Where did we get the idea that there was? I just like I just think it must be the human condition, like to believe that we should be something other than what we are, and then learn that we're exactly what we're supposed to be, and love ourselves. Like that's what I think. And I also forgave myself so much easier for my parenting mistakes with adopting this new understanding of how we got here, what we're doing here, whatever. Because I was like, well, first of all, she chose my ass or they chose me, you know, but like the human condition is for your parents to mess you up a little bit and you figure it out, you know, like, because we're not going to be able to, like, this is your perception anyway. So even if I did it all my very, very best, like, if I never made some of those mistakes that I made, You're still going to perceive the world through your little baby filter, and I can't control what your filter is. But I am learning how to teach them to use better filters, to understand why it is they think the way they do. Granted, she's pretty much the only one who listens to me because she's still very obsessed with me at her age, where the boys are 22 and 18. And I'm just not that smart, honey. They just believe I don't know that much.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We've lost that. We've lost that label of being everything by the time they're that age, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm so glad I healed before this because I know how bad it would have hurt me before, especially for the 18-year-old to turn 18 and just like never be home, never anything, like just he's got this newfound freedom and independence. It's fun for me to watch because I did have to have a lot of firm boundaries around him because he just didn't, he never has thought before he acted, and he needed someone to help him stay safe. But then once, like, I'm like, okay, baby, this is your life. Like, I am only going to do so much. So please be smart because these are your choices. And this is the first time in your life you've really had this level of freedom.
Right.
Be smart with it. But also I'm here. Like, if you're not so smart, I'm still going to love you.
And many of us, at that age are really smart. You look back when you're like 45 or 50 and you go, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe that I did that, or I was like that, or how could I have hurt that person like that, because you're in a very different frame of mind, you know. But yeah, we do crazy things and we do hurtful things and we do dark things and we do think to ourselves as well. It's a lot about forgiveness and letting us ourselves move on.
Yeah, I really stayed stuck in for a minute, just all of that remorse of the choices I had made with the information I had to make the choices at the time, but it took a very long time to really just say, like, that was your path and you're fine now, like it is what it is, and you do make very different choices now. I have such valuable information that I do wish I had had before, because it was a really hard existence. It really was, to feel so victimized, even though that's not the label I would have put on it before. I understand now that's the way I felt, and just betrayed and unloved, like I said. And now I don't feel any of those things because I feel like I'm
Because you did,
doing a really good job on this earth,
yeah, well, you did the work, right? If you would have stayed exactly the same, or sometimes worse, or sometimes a little
Mm-hmm.
bit better, but it does take the work, and I want to use it takes curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
is what it does. Curiosity and commitment. Okay, this is what I do. I'm not really, I'm curious about where did that stem from? Oh, yeah, I was taught that, in religion. I was taught that by my father, my mother, my grandmother. It doesn't matter, but do I want it? Do I need it? Is it helpful? Do I like it? Any of those things. And then do something different. Either
Yeah.
heal it from the past thing in the many ways that you can do that, or, just change it. Say every time it shows up, I want to feel that it's showing up so that I can make a different choice.
Yeah. Okay, so can you tell me what a cosmic mediator is?
So I work with multidimensional beings as well. So my group that I work with are various. They're not all human. They're from other dimensions and other galaxies.
Like your spirit
and
guides and like archetypes, or
No, I'm just into the archetypes now through the books that I'm writing, but these were not archetypes as much as they were um, as the mediator. So I channeled for about 5 years with one particular being that came in 1990, and he was here because there was a group of people that I had just met that was about his lifetime, and he needed to heal it. So it started me in looking at how a timeline can be healed. I didn't know quite what to do with that, but he was coming in as a channel to work with that. And at the end, I wasn't really like, I didn't like to be in the distance in a channeling thing. I wanted to be more present because I wanted to learn. I wanted to ask questions. I wanted to do that. And so I had asked the council that I was working with then, can I do anything different? And they were like, yeah, be a mediator, which means I am present and I'm getting the information from whoever's there. And then I relay it, which I think now hardly anybody's doing trans channeling, where you go, where you're really out of it, right? You don't know what's going on. Somebody's coming to your body. And now they're doing, I think, more of this as a mediation. Like you're so connected to your spirit guides that they give you the information and you articulate it. You're not letting the energy in. The energy doesn't need to come in. It's just right there.
Interesting. But I guess I didn't realize that that's how it used to be done. And you made me think of that movie Ghost. Do you remember that movie?
Yes, I
I
love
love
that
that
movie.
movie. It's so great. Was that really how it was done?
Oh yeah. Back,
Wow.
with Seth's work, 50 years ago, even when Abraham Hicks first started, she was on stage sitting while Abraham came in. And then eventually she became so much like him that she can just do the work, right? So they're integrated. And that's what I mean by trans channeling was you just go out and that
Yeah.
set, their voice comes in, their energy comes in. It wasn't what I wanted to do.
Yeah. That's
So
not what I would want to do either. Well, you're not present. Like you can't even work with
yeah,
that. That's just their journey.
you're back here. Like that was my experience. I'm back here wanting to ask questions, but there's something here that wasn't allowing me to, not allowing me, like it was too hard to get through that, right? But as a
Mm-hmm.
mediator, I can ask questions. I can say, what are you saying? I can articulate that. It's not anything like that. And there's more, for me, it's more possibility of that integration. Like people will ask me questions now. I don't have to bring in, they're called the evolves now because they evolved with my evolution. Um, and I don't have to bring them in any way. They're always there.
Yeah, I'm still working on kind of being more present with my guides. Like it's not part of my everyday thinking yet. It really isn't to where it's I'm because I'm still practicing having like a spiritual hygiene where
Yep.
I'm doing certain things every day. I'm not super consistent yet, so that's probably why, but certainly it doesn't feel foreign to me, and uh I feel the benefit of it whenever I do it. I had someone on that she refers to her guides as angels, but she said you can have your angels talk to other people's angels just for like, energy influence, not necessarily changing anything, but like changing the way they feel about whatever. So I've done that a little bit, but I don't communicate with my guides that much. And I feel really like I need to do that more.
Ask, like if you're doing meditation or you're out gardening or you're, alone, driving for me has always been the time for communication because I am awake and distracted with driving. And so the energy just, the voice, the energy, the visual all comes in. But I would just in a meditation or whatever is ask, do you have anything to show me? Do you have anything to tell me? Do and then watch for the synchronicities.
Yeah. Well, and what's crazy is the last time I did like a few days in a row, actually just like work really hard at it. I've had synchronicities for a long time now that are like off the charts. It's all the time. But
Yep.
boy, like I've been getting some like out of the blue that I'm not expecting at all. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And it's funny because about 2 years ago, my birthday is 6/16. And
Oh,
about 2 years ago, I started seeing that number on the clock twice a day. Like in the morning, I would see it, and in the evening, I would see it. And I still see it almost every single day, both times, like every day. And I haven't really looked up to see what the meaning of that is, because for me, it's just about my life force, that like you're on the right track or whatever. But I've gotten
you're in
other ones recently that are like, what is going on?
you're in sync. The numbers usually are, yes, it's the right path. You're in sync. You're being watched over. Um, for me, sometimes it was numbers like three in a row, but it was hawks. So I would see hawks. The one day, 14 of them.
Yeah, really. Because
Yeah.
hawks are one of
And
my things too.
yeah, yeah. If
Hawks and
they're
eagles.
around, I feel like I say thank you. I say thank you because I know that I'm being watched over in whatever way that that means in that moment. Without a title,
Yes.
it's just the honoring that,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's been several animal encounters that have made me feel that way, to where that's literally all I can feel is gratitude, just for the
yep,
connection. Like feeling the
yeah,
connection between all of us, every animal, whatever, but also that fundamental support that you feel, like I know no matter what I do, if I'm living in my purpose or whatever, I am fundamentally supported by this universe, that I have all my needs met. I will always have all my needs met. I'm
yes,
safe. I'm loved. Like all those things. Any encounter just reminds me of that. It just gets me right in my spirit, man. Because I'm like, we really, like, there is a design here. It's not the one I was
yes.
taught as a child, but I feel it to my core, and it makes so much more sense.
And wouldn't it be nice if, more and more people, which I think is part of our evolution,
Hmm.
how do we all resonate with that energy where we know that we're safe, where we know that we can create, we can co-create, we can make our life the way that we want it. We don't have to carry the burdens, we're aligned, all of that. It would be a lovely place. But starting with the kids is really a good, because it may be longer than I'm alive, maybe
Right.
you'll see more of it. But when you start with the children and having them understand who they are early on, they're going to be amazing. And there's a lot of kids that are coming in, like even your age kids, last 20 some years. I think, they were called all kinds of things. What was it? Not the rainbow kids. What were they called? Do you remember? There's
Like,
something about what there's the crystalline kids, there's the aura kids, there's a bunch of these names that they have, but they
no,
are
I haven't
coming
heard it.
awake.
Yeah. Well, and that's exciting for me because, well, first of all, we need help, but also, man, I felt like I honestly, it is my oldest child that has taught me so much, not about spirituality because he hasn't awoken yet, but like he's very in touch with humanity in a way that I never was, because I was too emotionally unavailable. Like literally, I named my show that for a reason, because I truly was. And now I'm still working on even allowing myself to feel the hurt of others, because we want to avoid pain at all cost. But
Yeah,
I feel like this next generation, like they really did, like they came in with a little more knowing than we did, like they really did.
do. And they're continuing with that. They were called the Indigo Kids.
Ah,
Yeah,
oh, okay. I've
yeah.
not
And
heard this. I'm gonna have to
there's
look
a
that
lot
up.
of books written on them. They're coming in with more abilities. They're coming in with more deeper understanding, more heart-based. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, well, I do. I feel so much gratitude to have them around to help, because I don't. I had a very hard time opening my eyes to some things, but now, like, that's why I think that I am a therapist, is so that I can help people to not spiritually bypass and deal with the emotional part too. It's hard even for me sometimes to stay grounded in that and rooted in this humanity and not necessarily want to be off. Like I want to go live in La La Land sometimes, where I'm like, oh, just
No,
so spiritually evolved and enlightened today,
yeah,
but
today.
anchoring into this human experience sometimes it's hard for me. But I love that I can do both, that I can, if a person isn't anywhere near I am, where I am with their understanding of spirituality, like, that's fine, because I still have so much I can teach you on
Sure.
this emotional side,
Yeah.
and tools and tricks and what I had to do to keep myself alive and now find peace. So I do feel really like it. I always felt that was my purpose, but man, the confirmations every single day of knowing you're living in your purpose is
Yes.
such a good feeling.
Yeah. And now you have your next layer of the spirituality coming in, for you and then for them when they're ready. So
Yeah,
yeah.
because I've been
Great.
really open with my daughter about that too. Like, I try not to say too much to influence because I want her to kind of find her own path, but um she's so into anything that I'm into that, like, I'm like, okay, but we live in Oklahoma, so it's a little scary here.
It's a little, yeah, I have clients down there outside of Oklahoma City and they're like, we can't talk about any of this there.
Not too much, not, but there
That's
are there are some places here, like there's the spiritual for or Center for Spiritual Living, that's very good. Like, it's connected to one that's in Florida, very
okay.
good. And there are there I and if I have plenty of connections there too. So there are some places to plug into. So if you ever need information like that,
Okay.
send me
Glad
an
to
email. I'll
be
be happy to
connected
send
to you.
that information to you.
Yeah, I think she would love that. Yeah,
Okay,
that would
perfect.
be
Because there are some. It is minimal, it is, but they are here. And I think that I have not yet to go find. I haven't sought them out on purpose just because I'm only like 18 months into this whole thing, and I'm still in solid to, like, I like my bubble right now. I'm not feeling really pushed to go be in
right.
that type of community
Yeah,
yet. So,
you
but
got
I
to
know
be
it's there.
discerning, discernment when you decide to come out in a bigger way. You're just going to have to be very discerning. Yes, this fits. No, this doesn't. There's no judgment when it doesn't fit. It just doesn't
Mhm.
fit. And so, you know,
Absolutely.
it'll be, yeah.
Well, I have loved having you on today. Before we go, is there anything, any final words or any, like, shout out that, a specific call to action? Again, I did notice that are you not active on Instagram anymore?
No, I am. I'm not on TikTok as much.
Okay, I'll have to get a different link for your
Oh
socials
yeah, the Instagram
then.
name changed. So yeah, I
Okay,
put
that's
it under
fine.
mail me and I'll get it back to you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I want to make sure I include those links whenever it's time for it to post. But is anything else that, we haven't covered that you just want people to know, or?
Well, I do that one group. It's called Cosmic Travelers. It's one time a month, a third Sunday of the month, and it's an hour and a half. And it is what we talk about is each individual. It's a guided meditation, first of all, and we work with the channeled evolves and what they want to do to help heal timelines for not only individuals, because each individual gets something that they can do for that month, the next month, but also for timelines for the earth. And so we work as a unit. So it's a combination of you get a little bit for you, and then you get a chance and an opportunity to dive into this visual. It's pretty intense as a visual of what needs to change in the world and be a participant with that.
Ooh, I love that. Okay, great. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And is the link for that on your Podmatch profile?
On my Podmatch, yes, it is.
Okay, perfect.
It
I will
should
make
be.
sure I get that then. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. I have loved having you. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for such an open conversation.
Oh, you're very welcome, Melissa. And we're in it together, whatever it takes us.
Yes. Yes, and listen, I'm trying to stay friends with people. So, if there's ever a time you want to talk or collaborate or anything, I'm here for any of it.
Okay. All righty, girl. We'll do
Okay. Have a great rest of your day.
it. So take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, make sure you've given the show a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening to if you haven't already. And check out my website, empoweredwithmelisahepner.org, or my link tree on Instagram at melissa.hepner to check out my latest offers or workshops.
Emotionally unavailable.
All right, that's it from me. So make sure that you check out the show notes for links. And until next time, let's all just keep swimming.
Emotionally unavailable.
INDEPE and cut.